welcome to Pod Save the Queen. I'm your host, Zoe Forsey, and I'm joined by Ian Vogler for today's show. Hi, Ian, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Just about recovered from the busy period we've been having with the Jubilee.
It has been, I was going to say, I felt a bit broken from it, and I sat in the office for most of it, whereas you were running all around London pretty much, weren't you?
Yeah, it was some long days. I don't expect too much sympathy, but some long days, but well worth it in the end. Some great pictures were had.
Yeah, and you did get some of the best views in the house.
Yeah, very lucky to have been on the QVM, or Queen Victoria Memorial, or the birthday cake, as some people call it.
Yes.
It's the big monument on the roundabout opposite the palace.
Oh, of course, that's the really famous one, isn't it? So, like, when if you go there as a tourist, that's one that everyone stands in front of, and you get all your good pictures. So you were there on Thursday, weren't you? So let's start with Trooping the Colour, and you were there for you saw the carriages and the balcony moment, didn't you?
Carriages, balcony, incredible fly past, great weather, the Queen, the young Cambridges. It was all there for you. It was fantastic.
So what was it like on that morning? Because obviously there were so many people gathered. What was the atmosphere like there on the day?
It was very good. I mean, actually, it was done slightly differently this year because of the way the stage had been built for the concert later on in the week and so on. So I think actually a few less people got close up to the action. But, the people had been camping out for 2-3 days beforehand. We'd seen them. And it was fantastic. And the weather helped, of course, because the last thing you want is a damp Trooping of the Colour. But, all of that was just fantastic.
And so talk us through how it works logistically at an event like this. So you're obviously given the timings. Do you kind of get a nod of they're coming now and then everyone gets their going, or is it just you all kind of trying to spot them all, or how does it work?
For Trooping of the Colour, it's timed to the sort of millisecond. I think it said on the notes that the fly past would be at 1:06, and it was at 1:06. That's right at the end. But yeah, basically you have to get there incredibly early. You have to go through various security checks. Then you're led on to the QVM itself by the staff involved from the DCMS, the government department. They took us on to the QVM, and then the first hint you get is you see as they leave on the carriages, you just basically keep looking and you'll see the horses coming out of the palace from the archway in the middle, and that's it. You can't miss anything from then on in. And it's a lot of these things that there is a formula, they happen in the same way, tradition dictates it. But until it actually happens, you're really worried about missing something, even though you've been there. You always get there earlier than you need to, and you always worry about being late or missing something, but invariably you don't.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's a lot of pressure to get there. And so something I've always wondered, who decides who stands where? Because obviously, unfortunately, you weren't the only photographer there. There were lots of media outlets. Who figures out like who gets what spot?
For Trooping of the Colour, it's actually pretty open, and we just pick our own spots in the sort of natural space opposite the palace, as it were. They limited the number of people this year again because of things being done differently. There was massive TV set up on the QVM. I think there was about 12 of us facing front and about 10 colleagues facing the back for the fly past and so on. So there's not much jostling for position, but again, because you can never be entirely sure. Will the Queen stand in the middle, or she might stand a bit to the right, a bit to the left? Where's the young Louis, who's the star of this now, isn't he? Where's the young royal that may put his finger on his nose at the wrong moment going to be? There's a bit of guessology goes into it, that's for sure.
So is that how you'd work then? Because obviously we're used to seeing there's the famous setup that you always get of they're all standing there. Do you kind of focus on, you get the main shot and then do you kind of focus in on all of them, or do you kind of you go to the kids first, then you go to Catherine? Do you kind of go on who people are more interested in, or do you how do you pick? There's so much going on and they're not up there that long. You have a lot of pressure to get everyone.
Yeah, you're trying to get that fabulous moment of the kids doing something. But it's such a long way away. You can't zoom in too much because you're working on the longest focal length of a lens available. It's called the 800mm. It's huge. I thought about buying a trolley to carry it. In the end, I put it in a wheelie suitcase. I look like some bizarre tourist. Anyway.
I bet security loved you when you rocked up with that.
I did get some comments from some colleagues about this isn't a holiday, and you're too old for 1830. But I got the lens in there, and yeah, you can't hold it with your hands. You need a tripod or a monopod. I prefer the monopod. You can move around a bit, and then yeah, you're looking. Obviously, it's all about the Queen this year, so you've got to make sure you got the Queen in the middle of the picture, and then you can afford to slightly take your eye off the Queen briefly, have a look, see what their kids are up to. You just keep. You're just scared of missing something the entire time. Like you say, it's only, I don't know, a couple of minutes up there for the main balcony picture, and it seems like a lifetime, but you could easily miss something in that short period of time. And it's not like in the movies they pick up a small camera with a tiny lens, they can take a picture of someone
Oh yeah.
3 miles away. I wish I had that camera. It's not like that, and you can't just be like a machine gun on it. You've got to try and pick your moment, and then not miss anything all at the same time.
Nice and easy then. Not a lot to think about. And doing that when everyone is screaming around you as well. What is that? Because it always sounds loud on the telly. So when the Queen, because obviously no one was really sure if the Queen was going to make it out. What was the noise like when she did come out with all of the royal family for that second appearance? Was it as loud as it sounds on telly?
Yeah, it was very loud. That was on the second balcony, was it? Yeah, the first balcony is sort of slightly less pressure. That's when they set off to go to Trooping in the Colour. But yeah, the second time when the Queen did come out, it's, you sort of your moment when you're standing there, you can see the footman or member of staff start to open the doors. You can see that, and then the noise sort of the crowd sees that, and then the noise picks up. I think it wasn't as noisy as it has been previously, because in the past they've allowed many more people down to stand in front of the palace, but because of the logistics this year, there were less people. It did sound noisy, but to be honest, I'm so just concentrating on what's above and in front. I don't take that much in that respect.
And do you get to watch any of the fly past, or are you just watching their faces? Because I guess you're having to look at them to see who's reacting, rather than actually. If you're the only person probably standing on the moor at that point that wasn't actually, or you and your other, photographer colleagues, you're the only ones not actually seeing the amazing display above, or did you get a quick peek?
I didn't see a single thing of that fly
Oh.
past. I think I might have seen the last plane turn off or something, but yeah, some colleagues were on the backside just concentrating on the fly past. I was on the front concentrating on the balcony. I heard the fly past, but I didn't really see it. I watched it afterwards, and it was pretty phenomenal. Actually, the 70 was incredible. How the aircraft made the number 70 in the sky. I mean, talk about concentration. Yeah, they don't take their eyes off the ball for you.
Yeah, they're not looking for like the nice view behind them, are they? So I assume with a moment like that, does the camera go straight to the kids to see the reaction? Because the kids are going to cover their ears or do something like that, or are you still waiting to see what happens?
I was always expecting something from the younger children, from Louis particularly. My biggest worry was that it'd be too little that we'd see him above
Of
the
course, yeah.
balcony. But I think he may have stood on something, and that's happened in the past. I think they've stood on some kind of stool or something. But yeah, that reaction. And then there's a moment where we think he asked the Queen, didn't he? Where's sort of what
Oh,
about
yeah.
the fly
Are they
past?
coming? Yeah.
Are they coming? Yeah. So blooming hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So all of that, it goes back to my experience with the royal wedding of the Cambridge's, Kate and William's wedding. That moment when because the
Oh,
fly past was
yeah.
so noisy. One of the bridesmaids, she covered her ears. I just thought, that's always the kind of picture that people love to see. So yeah, very much
Yeah.
concentrating on Louis. I mean, I've got my children are much older now, but you're always, slightly nervous when you put your kids in a sort of public-facing position. But imagine what it's like when you put them on global television.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things that's run through the whole the whole thing of the Jubilee, of everyone with children or without children is going, my gosh, you took a 4-year-old, like all praise to her for what an amazing job Kate did of kind of keeping them under control and just having that moment of your kids going, oh God, what are they going to do now? Just the fear. And yeah, it's bad enough when you do that at a family wedding or something, let alone if you're doing it with every single person watching you, which was great. But we will come back to Louis again later on, because obviously you were there on Sunday as well, where he had another, he completely stole the spotlight again. But Friday, you were in St. Paul's for the service of Thanksgiving, and you got some lovely photos of Meghan and Harry, actually, didn't you? And there were some really nice moments that you captured between them of kind of, you know, her putting her hand on Harry's back, because there was so much anticipation for this kind of return to, you know, coming back to a duty. What was the atmosphere like that in there before they arrived?
But St Paul's was fantastic. People were in there for ages before. I think, you know, guests who are not as important as the royals seem to have got there quite early on. So it kept filling up and filling up and filling up. And there was, you know, the atmosphere was growing. I had this position actually, which would have allowed me, I was sort of standing on the side of the church. So I was looking straight at the side door, which is where the Queen was originally planned to enter. So
Okay.
my view of much else was limited. That was these things, there's a system of, you know, we're dictated where we can stand. We can't just stand where we want. So positions are given out and the material is shared between all the media outlets. So that would have been my job, was just to get the Queen coming towards me.
Oh,
But,
okay.
you know, she didn't go, so I was still in my position. So as everybody entered the church, they kind of came past me sideways. Thought, well, that isn't going to make a very good picture, the sideways picture. But then I had a look. I thought, well, they're going to go down the church, find their pew. They're bound to speak to somebody or do something. So I literally only had a few seconds. And from where they walked along the side of the pew, as it were, you know, she sort of put her hand on his back. And I don't know why, he wasn't going to get lost, but that's what they did. And yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to get that. Again, I was there for, I don't know, quite a considerable amount of time early in the morning, just waiting for that. I'm thinking, again, you know, can't miss it. But there's so many variables in that. If one of the congregation had stood up, for instance, I'd have got nothing at all. I'd have got someone's head, you know. Could have been anyone, I don't know who they were. But yeah, there was something to be had there. But, you know, it was my colleagues who were in the front on position. Yeah, we all saw the pictures. There was the middle of the pew, the middle of St. Paul's, and there was one brother and there was the other on the other side.
Yeah.
Bizarrely.
So much discussion, isn't there, about that seating plan that's happened in the last few days. Okay, so, but still an amazing place to spend a working day. You know, beats us sitting here in the office. You got to watch it from St. Paul's, which is such a beautiful photo, such a beautiful location. I remember you sent us in some pictures, didn't you, before it started, just of your kind of position, and God, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. There was a guy that I sent a picture, what we're calling general view, GV, just of what it's like inside St. Paul's. And one of the guys right in the foreground in the picture had quite a natty suit on. It was a very colourful suit. And then people were starting commenting on the old social media, you know, doesn't he know where he is? What's he wearing? But the guy seemed quite happy that I took this picture. It was full of all sorts of people from all different walks of life, wasn't it? The military people, people who'd given their time to various different charities and organisations. So it's a real mix of people. But yeah, it was beautiful. The lighting in there is amazing. The staff there look after you. You sort of have a reminder to make sure you don't go anywhere you shouldn't, do anything you shouldn't. But yeah, it was really, really interesting experience. And the chap in charge did make a great joke, telling the Queen he had no tips for her.
This is the
racing.
Archbishop of Windsor did it, I think, in the end, didn't it? Yes.
Oh, we're going to get into so much trouble. We should know this. It was very nice, and he did make a great joke about that. Yeah,
I did enjoy that. That was good, and it was not. I said actually when Russell and I spoke about it last week, it was just really nice. It felt really personal, which was lovely, especially in the absence of the Queen.
Yeah, it was always the choir in there is always like the best, and then you've got that sort of thing. I mean, these things are so well organised and they're so beautifully executed. It's just amazing, you know, the preparation, the rehearsals that go into it. It must be so many hundreds of hours.
Now, on the Saturday, you were meant to have a nice day out of the races, weren't you? But that was pulled at the last minute, or, well, obviously the event went ahead, but as the Queen didn't attend, you were sent out on another job, weren't you? Were you gutted to miss the races, or are you not a fan?
I was, yeah, gutted because Russell Myers had promised me an ice cream. Apparently, so I kind of got my hopes up to that ice cream at the Derby with Russell. Didn't happen, did it? I don't know. He was just was nowhere to be seen, was he? He was hiding because he saved himself on an ice cream cone. But yeah, I was looking forward to it. Actually, I've been to the Derby before. It's a fabulous day out, but unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
Hey, well, Royal Ascot's on this week. I reckon you should take Russell up on that, hold him to that, make him take you to Ascot and claim your ice cream. Now,
Ice creams, yeah, they're probably more expensive at Ascot, but once put Royal in,
I was going to say, yeah, it's all the same. Now, you didn't work the Saturday night, did you? But did you catch any of the concert?
I watched it. I watched it on television.
Who was your
I mean,
favourite?
you know what was funny? Because I photographed Take That before at Royal events. I thought, where's Take That? We've been robbed. There's no Take That at a
Yeah.
Royal pageant. I was surprised.
Well, because
It was
Gary
really
Barlow
enjoyable,
organised the
thing.
last one, didn't he? We were saying, where's Gary?
Yeah. Where's Gary Barlow? What's going on? I couldn't believe it. The closing act bemused me because I thought, where's the British act? But
Yeah, it was
I
good.
don't know.
It was good fun. I thought Queen were
It was
really
nice.
good. That and
Yeah,
the
Queen are
Paddington
always good.
sketch into the Queen, We Will Rock You. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, that was actually quite touching. I remember we did an interview with Michael Bond, the guy that created Paddington. What a lovely guy. And it turned out to be the last one because sadly he died just a few weeks afterwards. And it was very touching to use Paddington Bear, wasn't it? It's just so British.
Yeah, it was really lovely. And I think one of those great characters that everyone, because the newer films are obviously loved by children plus parents and it's one of those people it appeals to every age, which is why I think it was perfect for this occasion as well. But lots of fun. Now, Sunday you were back at Buckingham Palace, weren't you, for the People's Parade? No, People's Pageant. I'm renaming it now. It's only been a week.
The People's Pageant. I was back with the wheelie suitcase. Me and the wheelie suitcase. We were down Green Park. We were in there early Sunday morning.
When
really
you say
amazing,
early, how early?
I think I got there about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and it didn't kick off till, was it 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock?
Yeah, I think it was later than that. The balcony moment was 5, so yeah, about 2, I think.
Yeah, we got there early. There was, worried about getting stuck in traffic or it's got a bit too much stuff to take on public transport. Anyway, it was fantastic. Got down there. The organisers partly did the DCMS, that's government department. They laid on lots of sandwiches and tea and all the rest of it. And
great.
that was funny. When in the press tent on Trooping of the Colour, and it was quite British. There was a box of Thai food, box of PG tips, pint of milk, and a jar of Nescafe. And some American colleagues came in, and they were like, where's the catering? It's there. Make yourself a cup of tea. Welcome to London, loves. But yeah, it was very good. Sunday was fantastic, wasn't it? The parade was amazing. It had everything. I saw Prue Leith's car break down. That was funny.
Yeah, that was a great moment. We spoke about that last week, actually. The pictures for that were amazing. And it was just her face, wasn't it? Of like, oh no, how's this happened?